Hi everyone, my name is Mac and welcome to today's Highlights from the Permanent Collection. This week I'll be talking about one of these pieces behind me, its artist, and then we'll be hearing from a very special guest who's going to tell us a little bit about this piece but from a different perspective. This masterpiece behind me, titled View of the Grand Canyon, was made by artist Thomas Moran in 1913, much after his road to success had already been paved. In 1837, Thomas Moran was born in England, and at the age of 7, he and his family immigrated to Philadelphia, where he apprenticed as a wood engraver and illustrator. He found joy watercoloring during his free time, but began to see success in his illustrating, working as a chief artist for Scribner's Monthly. Beginning in 1871, Moran would travel to the American West frequently, joining expeditions through Santa Fe Railway, to Yellowstone with photographer William Jackson, and the Grand Canyon with famous geologist John Wesley Powell. Moran's western landscape served in the creation of Yellowstone National Park. Where written descriptions failed, Moran's paintings convinced President Grant that it should be preserved. In 1874, Congress purchased Chasm of the Colorado, which became the second of Moran's western landscapes to hang in the Capitol. Moran's piece, titled The Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone, was sold to Congress for a then unheard of $10,000. At his death in Santa Barbara, California in August 1926, he was memorialized as the Dean of American Landscape Painters. Thomas Moran's legacy lives on in many permanent collections, including the Brooklyn Museum, the Smithsonian, and the White House. Next, we'll have a very special guest named Kate Shirley, who's a Beaumont native, to give us a little bit of perspective on the Grand Canyon.
Hello, I'm Kate Shirley. I'm a Beaumont native and an alum of Westbrook High School. Currently, I'm a graduate student in the School of Architecture at UT Austin, where I also got my undergrad geography. Today, I get to talk to you guys about the geology and geography of the Grand Canyon, one of the most remarkable places in the American West. The Grand Canyon has been carved out by the erosional forces of the Colorado River and its many tributaries, though not the same Colorado River that flows through Texas, and that started about 5 to 6 million years ago. Now the canyon is over a mile from the top to the bottom, so you can't traverse all the way down the canyon and back up in a single day. If you go to the bottom, you have to stay the night down there because you won't make it back up. So geology is such a fascinating field of study because it can tell a really rich story about a place if you just know how to read it. And in that mile of depth of the Grand Canyon are all these geological strata, and they tell 2 billion years of American natural history. So by identifying the composition of each strata, we can identify the conditions that created them. And that includes periods of great climatic cooling, inundation by warming seas, and volcanic activity. So, for example, the rock strata that's at the very top of the Grand Canyon, which is therefore the youngest, is called Kaibab limestone. And we know that it's about 270 million years old because inside of it we can identify these small ocean-dwelling fossils. So we can even look for these kinds of geological clues in Thomas Moran's painting. The Colorado and the Kaibab plateaus that the canyon sits on have been greatly uplifted by tectonic processes, and they actually tilt. So they're higher on the north side, which means that rainfall on the north side falls there and it flows into the canyon, carving out these tributary canyons and making the face of the canyon very gentle and sloping. On the south side, rainfall flows away from the canyon, making it very steep. Just knowing that information, we can look at this and we can assume that Moran painted this piece on the north rim facing toward the steep walls of the south rim. Regarding conservation, the area around the Grand Canyon is rich in uranium deposits, and the methods that are used to mine uranium notably pollute local groundwater. So that can poison both our water supplies and these sensitive spring ecosystems that are home to many endangered species. The Trump administration has pushed for public lands around the Grand Canyon and Bears Ear National Monument to be opened up to leases for uranium mining. And this effort saw success in 2017 through the reduction of both Bears Ear and Grand Staircase Escalante by about 2 million acres. I would say that the Grand Canyon is arguably one of our dearest treasures of American natural history. For me, the most important question to ask is, what does it mean for us as a nation if we aren't willing to come together and protect it?
Thank you for tuning in to our final 2020 episode of Highlights from the Permanent Collection. In the new year, we will be back with more episodes, but until then, stay safe and enjoy your holiday season. Elizabeth and I also want to extend a huge thank you to everyone who has supported our videos throughout the year, those of you who have watched, or those of you who have played a part somehow. We are so thankful for your support, and we will see you next year.